till the hair roots and falls to the ground. The origin of the Myanmar idiom Usui Samye. Once upon a time, long, long ago, never mind how long, there was a king who was beset with worries, as kings usually are. One day, he sent his trusted servant on an important mission. Day after day, the kings waited in their suspense. Sleep forsook his riot coat, and he spent his night watching the deep rolling sea from his window. So much depended on the success of the expedition. Moreover, the king was also aware of not too discreet whisper of his countrymen who did not quite agree to his decision to send their aforesaid servant on that mission, difficult and dangerous. Through it was many of his other servants converted. The honor of being the right choice for such an important task when the king served took a long time in coming back, whisper became louder, predicting a disgraceful failure. There's one, they said. The king was wrong in his judgment. Many fingers were itching to point at this right error. For days and nights, the king sat alone at the window for his right place to watch for the incoming ship. It seemed that his ship would never come. At long last, one night he saw the ship came in, and at the top of the mast was flying the king's own glorious colors. So joyous was the king that he could hardly wait to hear the good tidings. He instantly sent one of his countrymen to go and meet the homecoming. He wrote and bring back the news. The king paced and down the room, feeling as if the last gain of sand in the hourglass would never run out. It was indeed no small shock for the king to see his messenger totter into the room, brushed and broken, blubbering like a beaten one. When asked what the matter was, messenger, between moans and groans, reported how the king's servant had beaten him. Furious, the king ordered that the homecoming servant be executed at the very palace gates, which he will not be allowed to enter. The king's rage was at its height when the servant, bound hand and foot, though he was broke away from his captor to lay at his king's feet. The king shouted, "Upon my side, traitor!" The servant begged the king to hear him, even if it be for the last time. The king, with his arm folded on his wrist, gazed on his servant in grim silence. The servant said, "I beseech you, let no this man's report came current for an assumption between my love and your majesty. When I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faith. Leaning upon my sword came this Lord, neat and timely dressed, fresh as bridegroom, and perfumed like a millionaire. With many holidays and lady terms, he questions me. What price I bought from afar? What jewels, what pretty concubine, concubine, what slave girls for his pleasure? I then or smarted, what my words being called to be so priesthood with a Bobanje. Out of my grave and my impatient answered him in the only way I knew how. He made me mad to see him shine so bright and smell so sweet. The king saw his sour wreck and yet bold and manly beside. The foolish, tearful countryman who huddled in the corner like an animal. Like he has run, the king led his servant go on with the report of the success of the expedition, and his anger turned to deep sympathy for his trusted servant, whose appearance begs pardon. The oriole he had been taught. As the servant paused for breath, the king asked, Is it all? What more do you have to say? The servant answered, No, my lord, but only this. So saying, he removed his ragged turban. The king's grace silence fell on the whole camp. For long, with the rag that he called his turban, chunk of hair, rotten and swine, like an ancient forgotten bird's nest, fell at the feet of his beloved king. That's all.